God caused a big wind. Well, he had Moses raise his staff because the people were complaining. They said, "What'd you do? Bring us out here to die when we could have been buried in Egypt?" They had also taken Joseph. You remember Joseph from, he's the very beginning of their life in Egypt. And it's been over 400 years. And so, it keeps moving. Hello everybody, this is Glenda with Fralins and Friends Crafts Plus. This, if you can see it, okay, this is the Egypt, the Upper Egypt, or Lower Egypt. Up here is Goshen. It's with the Delta and the Nile River. And these are not to scale at all. But here's Goshen with the Delta that they easily cross. Here's the Red Sea. And that's where we're going to take them tonight. This whole thing is the Sinai. And Midian is down here. I just painted all this red because the only thing I'm concerned about, is Midian and Mount Sinai. I got the hiccups. So I'm going to start tonight with the Red Sea. So then I'm going to use a black marker, and I'll mark their trip to the Red Sea, or across it. And that's how far. When it comes to the escape, well, actually they were driven out. The Israelites were driven out by Pharaoh. And this is where a lot of survival and destruction take place, is at the Red Sea. 600,000. They were told to camp by the Red Sea. They were told to camp by the Red Sea and not cross. Well, then the next day, when they were getting up, they saw Pharaoh with 600 chariots. Now there were hundreds of thousands of Israelites on this journey. And so this is one of those biblical events that is absolutely, come on. I had one of these that did real good at this. Well, let's try this. I want to get these there. That's a little better. God caused a big wind. Well, he had Moses raise his staff because the people were complaining. They said, "What'd you do? Bring us out here to die when we could have been buried in Egypt?" They had also taken Joseph. You remember Joseph from, he's the very beginning of their life in Egypt. And it's been over 400 years. And so, it keeps moving. So the Israelites have there's this whole, the Israelites have all grown up in Egypt. It's what they know. And so they get nervous, and it's like, what'd you bring me out here for? Did you bring us out here just to die? Well, no, that wasn't the idea. They had this path to go through. And on the other side, when they got to the other side, so on the other side now, they went through. The waters have been parted. They're walking through. They went through on the dry land. But now, this is where I'm going to start, is the Israelites are over here. There's like a bunch of heads of people. But there were like over, I can't remember how many thousand. I just read it too. I have a problem with that. But on horses, and that didn't even count the women and children and the extra people who came with them. Now, God did tell them that if one of their servants or slaves or whatever determined that they wanted to be circumcised or whatever it took to be counted with their numbers, is that was something that they could do. So now we have, I do want to make a Moses. Here's Moses. I'm going to give him a blue headpiece and some blue clothes. Just barely. Just to show that he's there. And I want him to be holding his staff. So we're just going to put this staff, as long as he holds that staff up. Let's make the staff red instead. See it better. As long as he's holding that staff up. Now this here is that's supposed to be all the people, the animals, and they would be spread all over there. But so then they get across, and by then Pharaoh and his men are in this area right here. They're already in here. And they're in their chariots, their horses are... He's got his 600 of his best chariots. He's leading them. And what does God tell Moses to do? He tells Moses to put his... to quit holding up his staff. As soon as he did that, the waters started folding back in on the Egyptians. That wasn't dry yet, so I had just enough to do that. So the water starts coming back in. And that's where they get, the Pharaoh is lost, the best of his soldiers are lost, and the Israelites are finally free of the Pharaoh and his henchmen. They're soldiers, but for now I'm calling them henchmen. So this is a day for them, for the Israelites, to praise and be happy and thankful for what they have. Because this is something that God has done for them. And you would think they would... It's just like, we're the same way though, aren't we? We should trust, but yet a little something goes wrong, we start complaining. Well, it's kind of like that for them too. I'm trying to put a little bit of sky up here, so that... But I don't want to go over my brown heads right now, because they're still wet. I might repair it and make it look a little better later. But this story is here. The story is here. These are all the people of Israel, and they are covering this whole land, because there are hundreds of thousands. They've been in Israel or in Egypt for over 400 years, and now this dumb Pharaoh. What they did was they realized, what did we do? What did we do? We lost all our servants. Now what? Well, now they've lost their lives. So this needs to have been in a little better... There's a Gulf of Midian, I think, that goes up through here, of course, in Bible times. And there's the... I think it's the Suez Canal or whatever there. Wasn't there then, I don't think, but they did have to cross the Nile, but they crossed through Goshen, which was that delta. So, where's my black marker? There it is. I knew I had it. I push stuff around. So, okay, they have gone from here to here. They slept that night there. Then, I need a different color. Well, maybe not. I'll do, the Egyptians have followed. The Pharaoh followed. But now they have crossed. And this is where they stop. That's where the Pharaoh and them stop, because they are drowned. Right there. So the Israelites now are going to be headed down here toward Mount Sinai. We'll get to that in the next one. This may not take as many canvases as I think, but this just is a kind of a map. It's not pretty, but it's kind of a map. So, but this looks at least like it's telling some story. And it's hard to put all those people in there. It's easier just to do this because that's just so many faces. But so I'm just painting the backs of their heads because they're moving. They're on the move. And they are not stopping now. They're going wherever they're led. And they're being led by day. And God is in that cloud. He's in a cloud by day to help them on their way. And at night, if they're traveling at night, he's in the pillar of fire. So, and he's been doing that ever since they left. So, it's a very dramatic scene. If any of you are old enough to have ever seen the Bible with Charlton Heston, and there's that, excuse me, there's that scene in the movie of the Egyptians and of crossing the Red Sea. I think that's in that movie. But if you look at pictures of it depicted, go to Google Images and look up pictures depicting them crossing the Red Sea. It's a very dramatic event. A lot of the stuff these Israelites go through are dramatic events. And this one is extremely so. But what does it do? It ends their flight from the Egyptians. And now they are on their way to Mount Sinai, which is the opposite direction of where they eventually want to go. But they need to go to Mount Sinai because that's where the burning bush was, and that's where God said his mountain is. Bingo! So they are headed back that way. And thank you so much for sticking with me on this. And it's got to be about the miraculous stories. For once, I don't think this one's terribly ugly. But I'm not doing these little realistic chariots and soldiers on foot, or the Israelites really either. I'm just putting them in place. And I'm seeing where that demonstrating what happens with the water. And that's what was dramatic, and that was the miracle of God pouring that water back down on the Egyptians. The Pharaoh and his 600 best chariots, plus the rest of the chariots. I was raised on stories from the Old Testament, like Sunday school type stories, and on the New Testament, where Jesus is the center. The thing of it is, what people don't realize, is that Jesus is the center of this as well. These are the Israelites here are Jesus' lineage. Jesus comes out of these chosen people. And that's why God chose them. God actually built this nation. From Abraham to Isaac to Jacob to Joseph and all the other brothers, he's built this nation within Egypt, and they have flourished. So with that, thank you so much. I love you all. Be sure to smile and wave at somebody. Be kind. Have a good one. Good night.